Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play-to-earn games on the blockchain, such as Splinterlands. And today I have a very exciting video, and I'm going to talk a little bit about knowing your numbers. And the two sets of data I'm going to share with you today may just blow your mind. And the numbers we're talking about today aren't necessarily your cholesterol numbers, right? They're not your health numbers, but they do pertain to the health of Splinterlands and the Splinterlands economy. And again, strap on your seatbelts because I think this is going to be some crazy data that we're going to talk about. And it's not anything that's hidden or anything like that. It's just data that's out there that I thought was interesting as I was kind of thinking about Splinterlands and the general economy, play and earn gaming space, and some of the competition here. So let me start with the first set of data that I want to share with you today, and that's data from Gala Games. Now, Gala Games here, if you're familiar with Gala Games, they have, obviously they present at Digicon. They're, I think, a friend of the Splinterlands family, so to speak, and they're also in the play and earn gaming space. And you can see here that the Gala token is selling right now for about 5.5 cents. And if you compare it to SPS token, we're at 5.7, almost 5.8 cents. So roughly the same token price on a token per token basis. But what's interesting here with Gala Games is if you look at their total market cap, it's $390 million. Whereas Splinterlands, according to CoinMarketCap, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the different data here, but Splinterlands SPS has a total market cap of $46.5 million here. Now, the difference in that market cap is because, well, Gala Games has a circulating supply of 6.98 billion, with a B, Gala tokens today. And that's a ton of tokens out there. And people get a little, I guess, crazy and when they hear that, hey, SPS is going to have 3 billion tokens at the end of the day when all of it's printed. And people have said recently with some of these SPS ranked battle rewards coming out and just around the corner, SPS license validator license nodes handing out SPS rewards, guild brawls, land, etc., having SPS, people are saying, hey, there's way too much SPS being printed. Well, I would say here that compared to the competition, that's not the case, or co-opetition as the case may be here with Gala Games, and that they already have in circulation more tokens than Splinterlands will have ever. In fact, they have more than 2 times as many tokens in circulation right now than Splinterlands will ever have. And Splinterlands also has burning mechanisms, as you're aware of. With the purchase of SPS validator license, SPS is burned. There's also SPS taken off the market and added to the DAO, which basically stakers of Splinterlands have control over, which is not burning, but it's basically taking it off the market. And then there's also obviously the burning of SPS that was introduced recently with the latest changes to SPS ranked battle rewards, where you can burn SPS, $1 worth of SPS, and get 975 DEC in return. What I want to call your attention to also is the maximum total supply of the Gala token that's currently implemented in their, essentially I guess you call it their white paper, is roughly 35.24 billion tokens. So Gala Games could, in theory, in the next few years, take their token supply of around 7 billion and basically times that by more than 5 times, and then they'll get to their max supply over time. Now, if we look at Splinterlands, on the other hand, Splinterlands taking it straight from the game itself, straight from Splinterlands, the company. Right now, there's a total of 872 million SPS in existence. Again, that is, less than a billion, obviously, less than 6.8 billion precisely, right? We have approximately 443 million of that staked, so roughly half, and roughly 443 million liquid, which is a little bit more than half, and we have a total market cap here of $50 million. So What does that mean if we just do some basic numbers here? Well, if we look at the market cap of Gala Games and we look at the total supply, let's start with the total supply, 36 billion. So if we take 36 billion max supply of Gala Games divided by the max supply of SPS, which is 3 billion, it's roughly a 12x multiplier. So Gala tokens will have 12 times as many tokens eventually as Splinterlands. So what that means is for a comparable market valuation at the end of the day, right, when all the supply of the tokens is out in the ecosystem in a few years, basically you can take the price of Gala tokens right now and times it by times it by 12, and this is the equivalent price that you could say of SPS if you valued Gala Games equivalent to Splinterlands. Roughly the current market price of Splinterlands, if today you valued both companies equally, would be roughly 67 cents per SPS token. So that's one figure to think about here as we're not anywhere near that value of token. And some would say that, maybe we're not as good as Gala Games. Well, I would think some people would say we're probably in a better position than Gala Games. Maybe that's the minority, but it certainly is an opinion. So just by that nature, if that opinion becomes a majority opinion, well, then maybe the market adjusts and maybe we see a price in this range. But even that's looking at the total maximum supply of Gala tokens. If we just look at the circulating supply, again, the multiplier here, Gala tokens has 6.98 billion tokens. So that's the number of tokens that Gala Games has in circulation today at the current price. Again, here is what Splinterlands has. It's actually 872 million. So the multiplier here at the current market valuation is a 7.997, or roughly an 8x. So again, the current market valuation, if you thought Splinterlands was the equivalent of Gala Games in the ecosystem, would be 8 times 0.05593, or roughly a SPS price of 44.7 cents, so roughly 45 cent SPS. Now, when we talk about Gala Games has an ecosystem of a number of games. There are actually only 2 playable games right now in the Gala ecosystem. And again, I'm not a Gala expert, but I believe those 2 games are Townstar and Spider Tanks. Neither of those games currently have play and earn mechanisms live and in place right now. So even right now, as Gala Games, as a studio or as a game publisher, you can't earn anything in the games themselves that Gala has. You can only earn, well, basically by their node system, which obviously Splinterlands has now a similar node system as well. So what does that mean? I mean, again, people could say that Gala has a very nice pipeline of games coming out in the future that will be play and earn, certainly more than Splinterlands has. But again, Splinterlands has a play and earn game that has a vibrant economy, that has full functions and features. And oh, by the way, they just made a little announcement the other day talking about Genesis League Soccer and the future vision of Genesis League Sports, plus with Warner Music, plus with a tower defense game, plus with possible casino or arcade games coming in the future. You could say that Splinterlands may have a more robust game portfolio than Gala Games and may be live with many of those games before Gala Games as well. So that is some interesting data. Could we see the tides turn? Could we see SPS in the 45 cent range in the near future as the market understands the difference between Gala Games and Splinterlands ecosystem? We shall see. But this next set of data that I want to share with you is even possibly more mind-boggling. So one of the things that we talk about when we look at the future here of play and earn gaming and blockchain gaming, and really the future of Web3 and what it means with NFTs and games in the future, we're obviously early, and Splinterlands is doing a ton of innovation in this space. And if we look at the current competition, right, because that's what you have to compare to, I was just kind of curious what Splinterlands, the company, might be valued at. Now, I know Splinterlands is a private company, but one of the things I'm curious at is, you know, the ownership of Splinterlands has in many cases a founding in its SPS tokens, because obviously a large amount of the founding, like Agrode and Matt and others that work for the company, have a large share of SPS. So a large amount of the company's equity is probably in the token value itself, in the ecosystem value. Now, you can't make a comparison of stocks or securities in the stock market to crypto necessarily, but there is certainly some relationship in market valuation. There is a value of SPS as a token, and there is a value of Splinterlands as the private entity. But what I was curious to look at is, how would you value Splinterlands as a company if you based the company on revenue? And if you actually Google this, you come up with a little step-by-step guide if you were to value a company, and it's pretty simple. And I want to walk you through this because I think it's very exciting. So basically, the 7 simple steps to follow, we're going to walk through this in just a second. It's basically determine the industry. You want to value the company. Search for the competitors that are public in this industry, and look up several of these companies' revenue and their market cap. And then you want to get to a revenue multiplier to which you can apply to the revenue of Splinterlands, the company, to get an estimated value. And it's just a simple math problem. Basically, you calculate the average revenue multiple of these public companies by dividing the market cap of the company by their last 12 months of revenue. And then you come up with a number, basically a multiplier that you can then apply to the valuation of the company, in this case Splinterlands, that you want to try and figure out. So if I look at 2 companies in the traditional gaming space that we could look at here, let's take a look at Electronic Arts as an example. And here we have a market cap for Electronic Arts of $34.925 billion is the market cap for Electronic Arts. If we look at their revenue for the fiscal year of 2022 ending March 31st, it's actually $6.991 billion. There's actually 3 zeros left off here. So let's go ahead and divide their market cap divided by their revenue for the year. And it's actually a multiplier here of 4.9957, which is roughly a multiplier of 5. So the market cap for Electronic Arts is a 5x of their revenue number. If we look at another competitor that's publicly traded in this space, that would be Activision Blizzard. We can do a similar comparison here to get a number of valuation to be able to work with. And we can see here that Activision Blizzard has a market cap of $62.021 billion. And they had revenue in the last year, for the last fiscal year, of $8.803 billion. So if we divide their market cap by their revenues, we see that the multiplier of revenue for the company valuation here for Activision Blizzard is roughly a 7x. It's a 7.04. Let's be conservative, and let's not even use Activision. Let's not use 7. Let's not use the average of 6. Let's just use the Electronic Arts valuation of a 5x revenue to understand what the potential the potential valuation of Splinterlands, the company, would be using this type of valuation to value a private company. Now, I understand that it's not apples to apples, that a publicly traded company is traded with stocks. A private company with cryptocurrency built around its ecosystem is not the same thing. But let's also remember that the founders of the company, like Agrode and Matt, have a large volume of SPS as payment for the company and their founding of the company. So while it's not apples to apples, there is a correlation between the value of Splinterlands as a private company and SPS as the token. So let's just walk through just really 2 quick data points that we can easily access for revenue for the company. One form of revenue for the company for Splinterlands is coming from the markets, the card sale markets. We're not even talking about the rental market here. That's kind of a low number. Well, here's an interesting number. According to Peak Monsters, the card market sale volume for digital NFTs sold in the last month within Splinterlands, the game, was $1.853 million. Now, I know that there are card sales that happen on card auctions, on Peak Monsters, on Monster Market, etc. So they don't get 100% of that 5% market fee. But let's just do some quick math here to get some revenue coming out of the card market. If there's $1.853 million in card sales that's happening on a monthly basis within Splinterlands the game, which is a crazy figure in and of itself, let's just say Splinterlands does half of that volume and they get a 5% cut of that. Times it by $46,000 a month times by 12 months, and you get a revenue from the card market of $555,927. Now, we also know in the last year, we can project more than likely that Chaos Legion will sell out by the end of the year. Let's just go with that presumption because it came out in Q4 of last year from a sales perspective. Well, we know there's 15 million Chaos Legion packs that would be sold if it were to sell out. 15 million packs times $4 a pack is revenue of $60 million that Splinterlands would get. Now, I know the Rift Watchers pack of 3 million packs at $5 in SPS is coming around the corner here, probably in the next month or so. But remember that roughly $15 million in revenue is not going to the company of Splinterlands. It's actually going to yourself and myself as stakeholders of SPS. It's going to the SPS DAO, which is obviously adding value to SPS as a token moving forward, but we'll just forget about that for now. Again, it's a very important piece of the value of SPS, but not important for this valuation of Splinterlands as a company. So if we go with the figure of revenue for Splinterlands, the company, as a conservative revenue number for fiscal year, let's say 2022, of $60.55 million, and we times that by the Electronic Arts multiplier of revenue in the industry of a 5x, one could say that Splinterlands, the company, and a subsection of that being SPS, the token, would have a market cap or a value of $302.779 million. Now, if we again look at the current market valuation of SPS as a token, it's actually $50.785 million. So if we take the current market cap valuation and divide that by this potential revenue valuation, we have a multiplier of 5.9618. So if we see Splinterlands as being valued on its revenue in the future, if the market kind of wakes up and says, hey, this is a big deal, if we take the price currently of SPS of 0.058, times it by that valuation, which is kind of a, let's say, an industry figure valuation based on revenue numbers, the possible value of the SPS token would be less than 34.578 cents, purely based on current year revenue valuations. So obviously that is almost a 6x of where it is today. And again, this is not apples to apples. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing with you numbers that are publicly available on the internet and giving you a sense of what could be a possible real-world valuation sooner than later of SPS. Whether you look at it as a 34.5-cent token based on revenue numbers, or in comparison to Gala Games at roughly that 44-cent range, there's definitely room for growth here with the SPS token. So I hope this information has been eye-opening or informational for you. If this type of timely information is something that of interest to you, take a look at our membership options here on YouTube, where you can get early access to videos like this and data like this. And until next time, keep stacking those stats.
That's entertainment.